you're in the situation where right now, this week, last week, and probably this next week coming up, all of these families are receiving packets, and they're anywhere from 7 to 70 pages long. And they're the school saying, we're going to try and bring your kids back, and we're going to do every other day or in the morning and then not at night. And like, they're coming up with all these like crazy plans to be able to fulfill social distancing. And I think there are going to be a huge number of parents that just say, I'm not going to do this. I don't want to do a patchwork of like part school, part whatever. So if parents that are saying, hey, I'm finally open to doing something new, how would they enter into the world that you're talking about here?
Well, the good thing is, I mean, I don't know if I keep coming across these things because I live and breathe this topic, but I've been seeing some really cool like programs and startups and teachers and educators and even parents that are realizing like, okay, it's time to do something different. And they're coming up with programs that are online and they're based on the interests of the kid, and they're teaching kids like things that are actually valuable nowadays, like coding or like how, entrepreneurial schools for kids and things like that. I feel like parents, a quick search on Google will bring up like all these different startups that are coming about with this new experiences for kids. So if I were a parent right now and you wanted to do something different, I would look and see which one resonates the most with your kid, and then enroll your kid in this experience and see how it plays off. And go in with the mentality of, how am I going to know if my kid is learning? Because many parents are like, well, I know my kid is learning if I see that A in the test. But we've already talked about how that means nothing. Like you can have an A in a test, ace a test and learned nothing at all, which is usually what happens in school. You just figure out how to take the test and how to nail the test. So how do you know if your kid is learning in this like alternative experiences? Well, if the kid is excited, if the kid wants to come back the next day for more, if the kid is talking about this at home, if you see the kid when the class ends, like working on it or trying to figure things out, like your kid is learning. It's as simple as that. Like you don't need to be concerned like, oh, they're falling behind. They're falling behind on what? Like on what? I'm just confused when people say that, like, oh my gosh, my kid hasn't been in school. They're falling behind. I'm like, in what? Like they're not learning anything in school, like anything valuable, like use this time productively. So it's just a matter of being more open to seeing these experiences as, different, being more flexible, and try to see that there's so much learning going on this different things, right?
So you have this very global perspective. You lived all over the world. What are you paying attention to right now? You're trying to get back into the United States. You're living on the coast of Panama, but you have this global worldview. So what do you pay attention to right now?
So we've been trying to move to Miami for a while because of my husband's job, but the visa took a little bit of longer than expected. And finally, when I got my visa, the pandemic started. So airports are closed here in Panama. We haven't been able to move. Once that opens, we are planning to move back to the States. And then, I mean, I don't really know what's going to happen now, if we're going to be able to travel, if not, but I mean, that's why I'm so interested in the online world. So really what I'm trying to do now is I'm really interested in this whole idea of using the internet to learn. And that's my main focus right now, how to create, a rich learning experience for kids that they are empowered, where they are creating things, putting them out there, using the internet to share and to connect with peers around the world. And, it's just, I want for kids to become citizens of the internet and use it productively. So that's really my focus right now.
Do you have a VR headset? A virtual reality headset?
No, I do not. Have
you used one yet?
Yes, I have. My dad has he has an educational consulting company and he actually has some of those. Yeah.
So I think the one thing, if I were going to, if there's anything I can offer you as like an insight, the craziest thing about VR is that it gives you a sense of sound proximity. So you know how if we're on a Zoom call and there's 10 people on, whoever turns their microphone on is all at the same volume. Whereas if you're in a classroom, the teacher has the floor, she has a louder voice, but kids can whisper to each other if they're right next to each other. That sound proximity based on where you are in the virtual space changes how you view online, because it gives you back this proprioception, the ability to know where you fit in that space. And I think when somebody figures out the audio component of education to make it so if I'm sitting on one side of a classroom and somebody's sitting on the other side, they have to yell to get my attention, it will make it so something that's deeply embedded in our brains will be more connected with the online space.
Oh, that would be incredible, because I really feel like, online education is taking off regardless of, everything that's going on, and all these improvements are just going to make it even more like the real experience, right? So we finally have the chance to do it right in the online space, and then hopefully with all these things, wow, that sounds incredible,
And I'm totally in agreement that it's not the wrong way to do it is to be like, okay, make sure your child has a desk that they can sit at. And now they're going to be in a VR headset where they're sitting in a concrete room where there's a teacher at the front and they're just in that. That's not the way to do it. The way to do it is to teleport them into some other place where they can do exactly what you're talking about, exploring problems.
Right. In our virtual camp that we did, the kids are actually at a desk. They have their computer and we can all see each other, but they're all building things. Like they have all their making materials around them and they're all working. We have music. We put them into breakout groups. We're doing the chat is super lively, but they're all creating things, but we're looking at each other. So it's different, like you're building something, but we're here. So it feels kind of like we are together, even though we're not. It's not like I'm here watching you and listening to a teacher. So yeah, it's about, thinking how to make it more engaging and more like the real experience.
So tell me about your co-part, David. He is a really cool guy. I was listening to him talk about Y Combinator and just having very different perspectives, but you two have, I think, a really great dynamic. You do these show and tell things. It's a very interesting way that you two work together.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, he's a person that I admire a lot, and he's very young, and he's very curious and driven, and because of that, he has just built this whole empire around online education, and he's very good at voicing his opinion and helping people become citizens of the internet. And he was the one who really got me into this whole thing. And as I was talking to him when I first started taking his course, we realized that we share the same vision of education, and he came from a similar background. He had a similar experience as I did growing up, where he also was a very creative and curious kid, but he didn't think of himself that way because of teachers would tell you otherwise, and he didn't do that well in school because of the whole structure. But then when he finally was able to liberate himself out of this, he is the most creative person I know, hands down. And he has been able to accomplish all these things just at 25, and that just really inspires me. And I love working with people like that, with people that are creative, that inspire me, that push me, and we're very similar in that way. So he, even though he has no experience working directly with kids, he does have a very similar vision to me. So we decided to partner and create this, explore this childhood education space and what the future of childhood education looks like. And we're open to trying different things, and we love to bounce off ideas. We started this show and tell just to kind of share the conversations that we're already having, but we're now doing them, so that other people can listen to them. People like it, they like our dynamic, and we just have so many ideas of things that we want to do, and it's just very exciting. So we'll see where this takes us.
Thanks for checking out this podcast short. If you're interested in supporting the podcast and becoming a tangibly better communicator, check out some of the classes that I've started to put online. Before coronavirus, I was traveling around the world teaching hundreds, sometimes thousands of people how to become tangibly better communicators. But now I've decided to take what I was teaching to large groups of people and put it online so that individuals that decided they wanted to make a change in their circumstance could do so by just buying a class for themselves. This class, Telepresence Professional Basics, teaches how you can use the microphones and the video cameras that you have, but turn them into something that makes you look and sound great. Many people in this new environment don't know how to sound professional, and so they just use whatever's there. With these tips and tricks, you can figure out, where should I put my camera? How can I utilize light to make the camera look the best? And how should I think about sound and improving it so that way every time I speak during a meeting, people can hear exactly what I'm thinking and it's pleasant to hear my voice. These tips and the ways that you can think about how to prioritize getting better are all included in the Telepresence Professional Basics course. If you're interested, you can go to store.articulate.ventures or just check out the link below.